The next thing is a webcam. So we kind of touched on this debate before. Kind of want to get back into this discussion though. Are webcams needed? So there's kind of two ways to look at this. A lot of people prefer a webcam. They prefer to see you, your reactions, your, facial expressions. Maybe especially if you're an entertainer, you're doing something funny, you're saying something funny, putting a face to the voice. It is important. Some people will tell you that if you don't have a webcam, they're not going to stay and watch. They're not going to. I was one of those people. I will not lie to you. If you didn't have a webcam, it was very, very hard for me to be like, what am I doing here? I have since changed that opinion. Which brings up the discussion, is it needed? I would say it is important to have because a lot of people prefer it. If you don't want it, you don't need it. And there are two really great examples that come to mind. The first is one that's more popular that a lot of people may or may not know. If you are a League of Legends player, there is a player who is stupid good at the game, named Gosu. Hi, I'm Gosu. He's got a bunch of different variations of names on his actual league accounts, but on Twitch he's Hi, I'm Gosu. I think he changed it to just Gosu. Gosu is a top-rated player, and for as long as he's been streaming, he's never had a webcam, and for the first few years of him streaming, never had a mic either. This dude just played the game, and he was pulling thousands upon thousands of viewers.
But why was he pulling that many thousands of viewers without either of those things?
Because he was really good at the game, and people wanted to see
he was amazing. He was top tier, basically pro status if he ever wanted to go back to playing pro and not just streaming it. Big difference, right? He had a very specific quality that made everything else seem inferior.
Right.
His content ruled.
Absolutely. So here's the smaller example, right? Now some people will tell me, "Oh, well, that only works for him because he's a top player, and that won't work for me." Fine. Here's another example. A buddy of mine who streams that I've met through some other streamers who may or may not be in this chat. General, you might know him by now, is Schmo. Some of you may or may not be familiar with the name. Schmo is a guy who kind of just started streaming. I mean, he's on the newer side.
Okay, yeah, newish. Yeah.
Schmo does not use a webcam. He does use a mic in contrast, and he talks to people. But Schmo is hysterical. He's a really good dude, and that's why I have no problem shouting him out because he is a good streamer. He is. He's entertaining. He's very good with chat interaction. He's very good at talking to people. Very genuine. And also is, like I said, he's funny. He does not use a webcam, but that does not stop him from getting views. He gets views. He gets followers. His channel has been growing very quickly. And I think that's important to recognize because it does come down to content. Sure, you can argue that Gosu, Gosu is a god tier league player, so that's the only reason it works for him. No, it's not. On a general sense, it's the content. Sure, his content is professional play, but it's still his content. That's what people came to see. You don't have to be a professional gamer. Well, yeah.
Right. So I mean, let's make sure that we're being very precise with this here. No camera, no mic. The only content is gaming.
Right.
On his. It's only gameplay.
Well, now he has a mic. Now
he has a mic after how many years of being a streamer? 6 years?
No, not quite that long.
Not quite 6 years, but pretty damn close.
Yeah, he's at a mic
He's been I mean, he's been on for at least 6 years on Twitch, and it's been about maybe 5 years that he didn't have a mic.
Mm-hmm.
So point being, though, is his content was strictly gameplay.
Right.
So it was his god tier skill set, which was the content. There was nothing else. There was nothing else fancy that he did to put on a show. His skill set was a show.
Right.
Schmo, who just audio and his gameplay, that combination is his content.
Right.
So we got to make sure we have different categorizations here, and we can't say it's only this or only that. There are multiple things coming into play here. So when we talk about content, we got to make sure that we're being very specific, because you can't say it wasn't just his gameplay when all there is gameplay.
Well, I guess what I meant was to put that on yourself. You don't need. My point is, you don't need to go be a challenger League of Legends player to make that work. That's what I meant. You can have.
Okay, that's better. That's more precise.
You can have your content, whatever that may be, and make it work without a webcam. Is my point. You don't need to go out and say, okay, this is what Gosu did. Gosu became a god tier player, so I need to go do that. No, you can make it work for yourself. Is what.
So now,
but you make
like
a good
you
point.
said, you can make it work. So now, what Gosu has been around for so many years. A lot of these people who did things that you're like, how are they so popular? Because they were the pioneers. Pioneers get away with a lot of stuff because they risked it all to put it out in front of everyone. So they had a lot more growing pains and a lot more people who were accepting of that at that point in time. Twitch is more established now. So what can you do to stand out? You can't just be gameplay unless, again, this is god tier gameplay, or how like speedrunners can be with their games, like League of Legends players. Now, remember, when we're talking about specific games, League of Legends is a massive viewership game. So that means you're going to have an opportunity to possibly pull more people. If we talk about smaller tier games that people still love, but you don't have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people watching every day at every time of day, those factors are going to matter. So we have to think about our content in different ways, and how do we get exposure. That's why people will want to see a cam to give you a chance. Is that all your content? No, but you caught their eye.
Yeah.
And that does matter too in the long run.
Absolutely. So you've set up Streamlabs, you've done your alerts, you got your PayPal, you've set up your audio, you set up your webcam. What happens next? Well,
someone hacks you. No, seriously. Somebody hacks you.
Okay.
I intentionally do this because this happens to people.
Go for it.
The next thing that you need to do is two-factor authentication.
Oh, yeah.
Protect your Twitch, protect any social medias that offer two-factor authentication. It matters because two-factor authentication is simple. You have a password and you have a physical object, right? So I have a password that gets me onto my Twitch account. Someone can run a logger more than long enough to go ahead, and eventually they're going to run enough of those. They're going to get the right password. They're not typing them out. It's an automated process. It comes up all the different characters and spits it. Eventually, they're going to get rejected because the server is going to realize, hey, someone's trying to hack this thing. But they come back to a couple hours later when the downtime has happened, and it starts going again, right? If people want to, they can do it. So what two-factor authentication does, you have your password, and then you have a physical object like your phone. They don't have this phone unless for some reason you gave them that phone, right? So you're going to have your extra encrypted code on there. The combination of those things protects you as a content provider, protects you as a social media presence online, because people are going to eventually at some point either just want to mess with you or they're literally going to want to steal your identity.
Yeah.
One of the two. One's obviously way more severe than someone just trying to have fun in games, but both are quite demoralizing and defeating when you feel like, oh my God, someone's after me.
And I think, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure once you hit affiliate, I'm pretty sure two-factor is required to fill out the, like, you can turn it off.
Yes.
I don't know why you would want to,
Yes.
but it is required to fill out the paperwork, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well do it anyway because you're gonna need it.
Yep.
And like I said, I don't know why you would want to turn it off after that anyway. Some people think those tokens are annoying, fine, but I mean, that's saving you a lot.
That annoyance means that they're annoying to the people trying to hack you as well.
Right. So that is something to consider. That is a very good point, General. Thank you for that. I forgot completely. But okay, so now you've done all the other stuff I said, and you've set up your authenticator. Good Lord, English is hard. Now you've done all that. So what happens next? Right? So next you start streaming, right? You click that button, and all of a sudden your mic is not giving audio. Or all of a sudden OBS is telling you that you've been live for 30 seconds and you've already dropped 10,000 frames. God forbid that ever happens. Or you click start streaming and what's another one? There's so many. I mean,
your cam for some reason is not being picked up.
There you go. Sure. So what I'm getting at is the bane of a streamer's existence. Hell, they're the bane of my existence before I started streaming too. But technical difficulties, mechanical objects. Like, me and my buddy Brian have the worst luck with technology. It does not like us. I don't know what we did. I don't know who we pissed off in a past life that has come back and possessed our technology to hate us for a vengeance. I don't know what it is, but we deal with them a lot. Some people don't, which is great. God bless you. But it happens. It happens. Technical difficulties happen. So I think it's very important to understand, one, how to deal with them, and two, how to deal with them in the sense of finding out how to fix it, right? And correct it and what's wrong, troubleshooting. And then the second is how to deal with it from a mental standpoint, because it is really mentally taxing. It's not only beyond frustrating, but it can be defeating. Perfect example.
Especially when there's no rhyme or reason. It just happened.
Right. So perfect example. I told you guys about the problems I had with my microphone. Actually, what started it was my computer started doing this thing where I would turn it on and it would power on, but it would not boot. Right.
Awful.
And
that sounds awful.
It started turning into multiple other problems where I would turn it on and it wouldn't boot. So I'd hard reset it and it would turn on. Now it would boot, but my second monitor wouldn't get detected. And so I'd reboot it again. And now my second monitor is still not detected, but also my microphone the LED display is blinking at me and it won't detect. And I would reboot again. And there was one day where my hard drives weren't getting detected. So none of my programs existed. And there were all these things, all this troubleshooting that I could do, that I did do, no solution. I brought my computer to my friend's house. There were no problems. Brought it back home, same problems. The only common denominator was the outlet in the wall, which are regulated, so it should not have been an issue. Very, very confusing, very frustrating. I never got an answer, actually. My computer just stopped doing it. But that cost me 3 weeks of streaming. I went 3 weeks without being able to go live because my computer just didn't exist. And more to the point, I did a clean, hard rewipe, which didn't fix it, but I lost all my stuff, which cost me more time because I had to go back through and reset up OBS and reinstall my games and everything. So yeah, very mentally defeating. But you cannot let stuff like that stop you. That's where you fall too far. Things like that are going to happen And as cliche as it sounds, you got to know how to roll with the punches. I'm not saying it's not going to suck, and I'm not saying that you're not allowed to get frustrated or upset or, sad, because that's normal, especially when things like that happen. But how do you deal with it?
Correct.
First step, I would say, is Google. Obviously, researching what could be wrong, and then
let's split this into two things here. Let's
Sure.
say you are someone who has no resources, in the sense that you have no idea what you're doing. Google and YouTube, like Luxin's talking about. But now let's say that you have a bevy or network of people such as Luxin, myself, Range Bacon, Flibbity Flam, that you could go ahead and ask. Well, guess what? If you trust them and you enjoy their content, you might want to ask them, because now you're going to get a very precise answer, or at least a very precise link of where you're supposed to go to.
One thing that I don't have, that I'm going to be a hypocrite and tell you should have when things like that happen, is patience. Stay patient. I am not. He's like, oh, me? You really? Yeah, yeah. Don't give me that look. Don't do that. It happens, and while I am not the most patient person, I get through it. If I can get through it, you can get through it, I promise. But yeah, if you lose your temper and you lose your mind, it's going to be a lot harder to troubleshoot and fix it. Anyway, take my word for it.
Yes, what Luxin is saying is correct, and I would love if he would follow what he is saying, because he'd be even better than he already is. But what he's saying is very true. Very, very true.
General, do you have any troubleshooting stories?
Well, okay. So troubleshooting stories. So actually I have a really good one here, and Flippity Flam helped point this out for me. I didn't realize when I restart my computer, the technology is stupid enough to then reset my camera settings. Not on OBS. OBS is fine. That's what I use. I don't use XSplit. I use OBS. I originally started with XSplit. Didn't like. I get why they're doing it, because they give you a little bit because they want you to pay for a lot. I didn't want to fall into that, because I was, again, trying to be smart with my money, and reinvest into other things besides just the streaming software. Push that to the side. Okay, so it reset my camera settings. So there's times I look at my camera, I look great. Other times I looked like crap. And then Flippy Flam, as abrasive as his helpful commentary is, as he strokes his beard and smokes his vape right now, is that it was very true. He's like, dude, your camera looks like crap. I'm like, why? It didn't look that bad the other day. And then because of that, though, I started thinking. And so I started going through, and I realized every time I restart, I'm always looking to make sure that my camera and all the settings are correct. So those kind of things I didn't know about, but that's a troubleshooting thing I had to figure out on the fly. Thankfully, because someone spoke up. Because let me tell you, it was using a green screen. If your green screen settings aren't correct, you look really bad. You look really bad. So it was very helpful. And again, that was a troubleshooting thing that I never would have considered. It's like, if I put the settings there, they're going to stay unless I remove them or an update comes in. No update had to happen. Just the simple fact that my computer restarted or turned off, and I turned it back on. And that's the way software works. It just resets the settings back to default, which I don't know who the hell default settings works for.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, someone's got to be happy that these default settings work for them, because it looks bad.
So, is there anything else top of your head you think we missed, or do we want to open it up to some questions?
Let me make sure. Let me view the notes.
Yeah,
that I have in that way. Okay. So there's that.
Oh, I did have one actually. We talked about it right before. I knew I was forgetting one. I just had to think about it. A big thing, guys, when you start, I see this from a lot of people, even people that are not new. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Excellent. And I think from a beginner standpoint, more importantly, don't try to be someone else in a sense of what I mean by that is,
so stop putting on my red hat.
Yeah. No, I don't sit back and go, okay, well, General's
I lost audio.
What?
Is that me?
Yeah, it's you. I got you still. Don't you don't want to sit back and go, oh, well, General, he does, multiple speed runs and he's really good and that works for him. So I need to be a speedrunner. I need to be a speedrunner. Or, whatever else. So-and-so plays this game and he pulls 100 viewers. So maybe I should look into streaming that game. Yeah, what a good time talking about technical issues.
See? Why that happened? I don't know.
If you guys watch our first one, which I actually have a link for, etiquette. If you guys watch our first video, we had to use Skype, and Skype dropped every, 28 seconds or 38 seconds or something weird.
Yes.
And we dealt with it. It was annoying for us, and it probably is annoying for the people watching, but we dealt with it because that's what we had. Like I said, tech issues happen. General, do you want the video? I don't have.
Oh, that's why it's not displaying.
There we go. All right, he's back. So, going back to what I was saying. So yeah, just because something works for one person doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for you. And if it does, great, but that's not why you should want to do it. You shouldn't want to say, so-and-so pulls X amount of viewers with this game, so I need to stream this game. Find your own, I don't even want to call it a niche, because as a variety streamer, I don't really have a niche. My niche is to play video games and entertain. But yeah, just because one thing works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you, or if it does work for you, doesn't mean it's going to work for you in the same way. And that's very important to understand. As cliche as it sounds, be yourself.
Well, no, you're right. Right, be yourself. And the reason why is people want to see that. Mm-hmm. People want to see yourself because you know what? You're a unique little flower or featherer, whichever one you are.
Snowflake. Precious snowflake.
And that matters. It really is. It's excellent stuff. But what happens is we allow outside perspectives, we allow outside opinions, and then depending on if any of us have any types of mental health disorders, that, remember, that's not a bad thing. It just means things that we have to manage, and thus will be harder on ourselves. I know someone who's pretty damn hard on themselves. No. With that being said, is that you have to find a way to constantly ground yourself. Not ground like your parents would ground you, but if that's through meditation, if that's through reading, if that's through music in a bathtub, whatever it may be, you got to find a way to separate yourself from the overabundance of expectations that you yourself have put on it, especially perfectionists, that you need to take a step back and just realize, wait a second, I love doing this stuff. Why am I freaking out about it? Why the hell? There was one time I remember, and I joked at Flippity Flam about this, right? Is that I was like, man, I feel like I'm too tired to stream. And within 2 to 3 minutes, I was all like, fuck that. Excuse my language. I'm going to go and play games and hang out with everyone. I'm not too tired for this. And it went away. It went away. And the reason why is because it's like, wait a second, why was I was allowing myself to put all these extraneous pressures on myself, and all I really need to do is come here, be myself, perform, and hang out with you guys, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And so, like what you're saying, Luxin, is that you don't need to be like anybody else. Now, maybe you want to be professional or polite or positive, and you take little bits and pieces that you're like, you know what? I like this. This actually represents me. Or maybe it's a lot like an overabundance of chat interactivity, like you like to do, right? Now, I do chat activity as well, but sometimes it gets taken away from when I'm doing the speed running, right? Where I have to pick segments where I can do it. And you know, like on Contra, right? You start freaking out. You're like, guys, I can't speed run and Contra at the same time. Let me talk to you. That you have to understand what you're giving and what you're taking whenever you do in different aspects of your stream to provide either the content you want or the atmosphere that you want for your audience.
Absolutely. And that's very true. But see, like for me, that is who I am, right? So that is a good example. I have no problem admitting that or accepting it or living with it. I hate missing someone in chat. I struggled with a perfect example, right? So the first episode we did of this, I didn't turn off my alerts. And people told me before we did it, people told me, don't forget to mute your alerts. And I said, hell no, I'm not muting my alerts because I'm still a streamer. I'm not a YouTuber. So if people go back and watch it on YouTube, I don't care. I have my alerts on Twitch. I want my alerts on Twitch. I want people to know that I recognize them. I'm going to thank them. You guys have no idea how hard it was for me in the last one or this one to not acknowledge follows or hosts and like not thank people because I feel like a dick when I do that. And I know like that's proper format for a talk show or a podcast, but I struggle with that. And so like he's saying with speedrunning, I throw away speedruns. I die all the time because I'll be at a part where you cannot look over at chat and someone will say, hey, Luxin. And then my chat turns red and I go, oh, someone needs my attention. And I look at it so I can read it and I die. I'm not the best speedrunner because I choose to look at my chat. Sometimes I'll be playing something and my chat is moving too quick and I legitimately stop playing, which is a habit I'm trying to break, but I'll legitimately stop playing so that I can like keep up with chat and read chat. And I don't like missing a single thing. So yeah, no, that it's true though. There's certain things that differ for people, and understanding of, you know, where you are is as far as like General said, you know, understanding what you're doing might take away attention, or if you want it to, or let it. Or the difference between me and General, neither is bad, neither is right or wrong, but you know, he might be more focused on the run, whereas I have no problem throwing it away to read a comment, or you know, so on and so forth. People are going to be different in that way, and that's okay.
And that's okay. That's the best thing to take away from this. Lux and I are really good friends, right? I actually met Luxin because originally he was a fan. And then with that, though, we started to talk more and more because we had a mutual friend already, the Y Sage 157, right? Yeah. We already had a mutual friend. And as time went on, we just kept talking and trying to figure out different things. And his schedule is hectic. My schedule is hectic. And as time went on, we became better friends. And we are similar, even though our differences are what makes us unique.
Right.
So I want to take with what we said right here and push into the next topic, which is you want to be a good streamer and you want to go with your most basic of things possible in front of you, chat activity.
Yeah.
Not what they're saying, what you are saying and doing when interacting with them.
That's a good one. Yeah, I forgot.
So Luxin is an extremely good example of someone who prioritizes chat interaction above 1. It would be like 0A is chat interaction before he goes on to 1 for 2, 3, 4, 5 for all of his different things for being a streamer. Chat interaction is the most important thing to Luxin. Well, for me, it's a combination of both gameplay and chat interaction. If you notice, as time's gone on, I've got certain games I'm speedrunning it and reading you guys at the same exact time. Why? Because I've been trying to work that craft where, to me, I want to feel it doesn't matter if I'm staring at the chat or I'm staring at the game. I could do both seamlessly. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on that because I've always felt that what makes this platform so much better. I know other ones are trying to mimic it and they have slightly better things for certain aspects, but overall what this platform is you have content you're providing and you have a direct connection with your audience in real time.
So I'm glad you said that, because that brings up a point I totally forgot about. One question that we had received in the first video and the last video is a very common question for beginners. How do you talk to chat when no one's there? People say, oh, one of the hardest things is, you know, no one's in my chat, and I know I should keep talking, but I don't, because I feel weird talking to myself. Blah, blah, blah. This is what I tell everybody, and General gladly build on this, but this is what I tell everybody. There are forum posts, there's Reddit posts, there's I've seen it because I looked it up when I started streaming. People will openly tell you, if you aren't talking, if I come into your stream and no one's in chat and you're not talking, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna wait 10 seconds. I'm gonna see if you say anything or even move, let alone breathe. Right. And then I'm gonna leave, because you haven't said anything. They can't gauge a personality if you don't say anything.
Right.
There was a vote. Someone linked it in one of the Reddit posts that I saw. There was a vote of, if you come in and I'm not talking, will you stay? And it was a very vast majority that said no. And I'm one of them. I'll tell you right off the bat, if I come into your stream and you're new and you're not talking, I probably won't be there very long. So the one thing I tell everybody, and this is the example I always use, the best thing you can do for yourself is rant about literally anything, for two reasons. One, it keeps you talking. Two, the more ridiculous it is, the more it shows that it doesn't matter. Like you need to keep talking in a positive way, obviously, but people can gauge you from what you're saying. So the example I use is rant about something that is like, you guys ever heard of shower thoughts? Like the ridiculous things that people, like, everyone knows but you don't really think about, and sometimes they're ridiculous. Say something, you could say anything as stupid as, you know what, guys, I don't like soup. I hate soup, and I'll tell you why. Because it's liquid. People call it a food, but you're not eating. You're not eating soup. You go in, you get soup, and it doesn't matter how much you eat, because there's no substance in soup. You're just gonna still be hungry after. Like, I could take that rant easily for 20 minutes. Is it stupid as hell? You better believe it. Do people care about my opinion on soup? Probably not. But I'm gonna keep going with something like that, because it fills that void. It fills that emptiness. And maybe technically it feels like you're talking to yourself, I guess, but it's not so in something like that. It's not so much in a debate as it is a general opinion on something that totally doesn't matter. It'll keep you talking. It'll keep you moving. And then someone's going to come in and be like, the fuck are you ranting about soup for? And now you have chat interaction.
And bam, exactly. So what did you do? They need to either drop an email, they need to say something, because it was so, weird. So, okay, let's build on what Luxin just said. So he just starts ranting. A lot of people wonder what the hell I'm talking about most of the time. If I'm not talking about gameplay or responding to you guys, I'm quote unquote ranting. Now, people like Flippity Flam, AI Television, Range Bacon that have hung out with me in voice chats where I'm just hanging out and chilling out for the night before maybe going to bed, or while I'm working on some side projects or whatever, that they're like, General, what are you going on about? I'm like, wait, what? You guys are listening? Oh, what's up, guys? Because I to me, it comes naturally to keep on talking. So now, and Luxin knows this too. He smiles because he knows this is fact. I'll just keep on yammering. That if that doesn't come naturally, let's now remember this. This is the most important thing I learned when I first started doing a radio talk show when I was 15. Okay? Dead air is dead space. Okay? Dead air means your content is worth this much. People hate it. It's awkward. It builds up a sense of anxiousness. is when you're sitting there, you're looking at the person, they're not saying anything. Their gameplay, we could say, is anywhere from mediocre to pretty good. And so there's absolutely nothing drawing you in right now. And all you see is this person staring off into the game. And that does not work. A couple of people will be understanding and they'll wait, but dead air is going to kill your channel. So what do you do to fight dead air, right? So like Flippity Flam brought up just not that long ago, I'm pretty sure I saw in the chat, is that we have thoughts. We constantly have thoughts up here. Start talking those thoughts out. Almost think about it as almost a remedy for getting outside of your head. Anybody who deals with mental issues of any kind, be it diagnosed or self-diagnosed, you are thinking because your anxious thoughts are what's constantly winding and winding and winding and winding and winding. When I got my first extremely hateful commentary, I was quite like, what the F? For about 30 to 45 minutes. Right at the 45-minute marker, ding, I was like, wait a second. If I have haters, I'm winning. I got outside of my own head, right? I was able to finally go like, wait a second. If this is happening, what I'm creating is a good thing. Because whenever you have something really good, something on the exact opposite spectrum wants to show its damn head. It's balance.
It's true.
It's balance.
It's very true.
So now, what's another trick you guys can do to fight dead space? Here's the other thing. What you should do is take sticky notes and start to put them somewhere on your monitor as different topics that you could choose to start talking. Oopsie, I actually started touching too much on the side of my monitor here. I forgot I have all those buttons over there. That you put topics anywhere. Maybe you want to talk about your dog. Maybe you want to talk about what you ate for the day. Maybe you want to talk about how you right now have some indigestion problems and you're really gassy. You know, whatever it may be, put 5 to 10 of those, as tacky as it's going to look on your end. No one can see that. And you'll be like, wait, I think I've been quiet for a little while. Look and see like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to talk about what I did today. So funny story, on my way to work, I stubbed my toe. When I stubbed my toe, then I yelled at my cat. When I yelled at my cat went and peed on the ground. So I got to work late because my cat peed everywhere. And I was cleaning that up. And then I had to shake my boss's hand because they said a job well done. They're like, what's that smell? And I was like, I don't know. You know, I think someone cooks asparagus in the break room. So all those things start happening because you were able to give yourself a jumping off point. So
it's one of those things, guys, where so like I said, right, you could talk about anything. If that's what you need to do to keep rolling, anything. And I think it's important to note that General just did it with a scenario that didn't even happen, right? Just top of the head.
That didn't happen at all.
And, you know, as quickly as he did it, killed 30 seconds, could have drawn that out for how long? It's one of those things that it like I said, it does not matter, but keep talking. I'm not good with it either. If I'm being totally honest, I can sit here and I can say that and I can say, oh, it's this easy and I can do this and this and this and this and these are solutions. But when I have a dead chat, it's hard because even though it's easy for me to say it now, when it happens, you kind of get in this mental block where you're like, oh, why is no one here? Blah, 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 blah. And you start thinking,
but they are there. That's the funny thing.
And I'm getting, yeah, exactly. And I'm getting better at it. Because I'm trying to push myself to keep saying literally anything. But it is that easy. So I guess my point is don't do what I do. Don't get that mental block. Don't beat yourself down. It's fine. Quiet nights happen. There's still people. Just talk. Danny California, another streamer. Love her to death. She's an absolute sweetheart. Danny will legitimately stop and ask people, you know, sound off. What color's your underwear? And people will check and people will respond. And you would be pretty amazed at how many other conversations that starts. It's true. No, it's absolutely true. there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that that work just from like stupid, silly questions that totally don't matter to anything. And I think, you know, a lot of people have been saying, like, talk about what you're playing, talk about things you've been interested in recently, talk about, you know, what you're doing in the game and why. It really doesn't even need to be relevant to what you're doing, if that makes sense. I mean, yes, that is something you could use. Absolutely.
So like the other day, for example, when I had already probably explained the trick that I was doing, which yesterday was the Brewster skip, last night, which is a difficult trick. So I was explaining, you get to a point where you're tired of explaining the trick, even though it's helpful. What I start complaining about? My hands getting sweaty. Is that flattering? No, it's not flattering. But you know what it does? It's keeping the conversation rolling, because someone's like, oh my God, I hate that when that happens to me. And it keeps on going back and forth, and then new things start to pop in. You're like, because a certain word they said, ding, something clicks in your head. Now, here's an important thing to remember as a streamer, as a content provider, especially if you're doing live content. You know what your viewers came to do? To watch you. Some of your viewers want to talk to you. But at some points in the day, your viewers are tired and they just want to relax and chill. Don't make them do work by having to talk to you. Inspire them to want to talk to you. Well, how do you do that? By you talking and revealing more and more of yourself. I'm not saying reveal your social security. I'm not saying take your clothes off. You know what I mean? What I'm talking about is you're talking about little instances about yourself. You're making up little stories, or you start talking about, you know, how Peter Cottontail got into Mr. McGregor's garden. You can't believe he ate both the cabbage and the carrots at the same time. You're like, what a freaking fat bunny. But at the end of the day, you're talking about more and more stuff, and people are going to start to go off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one we missed as well, General, is lurkers.
Mm-hmm.
So
good. Start going about that. I have a good thing
some people, I am the top prime example. Some people just like to lurk.
Yes, they do.
Hide in the shadows. Don't chat. Don't say anything. Just watch. Mm-hmm. I am all about it. I will pop upwards of 20 tabs for people at the same time, and I will not say anything to anyone, but I'm there and I'm watching, and I'm watching all of them at the same time. You could say whatever you want. You can argue whatever you want. That's not the point. The point is I am in all of them. I will watch General for 5 minutes and see what he's working on and what he's running and how he's doing in his run. And I'll go, okay, he's on a good PB pace. I'm going to come right back to this. And then I'm going to tab over to Flib. And I'm going to watch Flib and see what Flib's working on. And then I'm going to tab over to Crunchy. And then I'm going to tab over, and I might be using names. No one knows who they are. That's not the point. The point is, with 20 tabs open, I will still hit every stream on rotation because I like it. I don't know why. That's just what I do, whatever. The point is, I'm there. You might not know I'm there because I haven't said hi to you or how's your day or what are you working on today, but I'm there. Mm-hmm. So what I'm getting at is, especially in a scenario like we were talking about where you know, chat might be dead, nothing's rolling, it's quiet, it's awkward, whatever. Do not call out lurkers because nobody that is lurking likes or appreciates it. Period. It's been a huge debate since I started streaming. Some people, you know, have bots that when someone joins the chat says they're there, which is like the biggest turnoff. If I come into your stream, especially if I don't already follow you. If I'm a follower and it does it, I'm just going to be annoyed. If I don't know who you are and I just want to kind of feel you out and see what kind of streamer you are, and I come into your chat and it says, hey, thanks for joining the chat. Now I feel obligated to say something to you. And guess what? That's not what's going to happen. I'm gone. I'm already gone. The second I see your bot do that, I've left.
Here's the thing to think about, just what Luxin says before he continues on, about those bots that call you out. Let's say like Wise Bot's a good example, right? So the problem with those bots are is that you have people who don't care that they got called out, and you have people who hate and or resent the fact they got called out. So what you're banking off with your strategy by having Wisebot call people out is that you are playing with fire, or they might not care. I have not heard someone who says, I love it. I love that you called me out with your bot. That was the best experience ever. If you don't have a lot of positive interactions from using something like that, remove it. And you might not even be a positivity channel. That's fine. But you still want your viewers to have a positive interaction or thought process that keeps them there to want to be a part of your stream, even if it's in the shadows. Things like Wisebot or bots that call people out, don't ever do it.
So someone mentioned, and I just did it as an example. Someone says, I'm fine with lurkers or a lurk command, and I have that with my bot. Should I remove it? And I said no, and here's why. If you have a lurk command, as I do, which is why I put it there, someone that knows you have it is probably already a viewer or a friend. Hell, maybe they're not, and they saw someone else use it. They're gonna, by doing that, they're telling you, hey, I'm here, I'm supporting you, but I'm not gonna be active in chat, ! Lurk, whatever. That's not what I'm getting at. Lurkers are fine. That is my point.
Yeah.
A lot of people prefer to do it.
Lurk away.
If the command is something they have triggered, that is an option. That's very different. What we're talking about is there's bots that call people out. There's bots that say, like, I have not done anything in your chat. All I did was open your stream, and a bot detects me and it says, hey, Luxin Phoenix, welcome to the stream. I'm going to leave. So if that is what you're referring to, then yes, remove that. I would personally, because
I agree.
Vast majority, I'm talking like 95% of, maybe not Twitch, but like lurkers are going to leave if they see that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, different story would be if I come to your channel and I type in your chat and I say, hi, or hi, I'm new here. Hey, how are you? And then your bot detects me and says, hey, Luxin, welcome to the chat. That's fine. That's cool. That's different. I mean, that's
different.
Yeah, that's a bot recognizing.
As subtle as that difference is, it's a huge difference on a personal psyche.
Absolutely, because I've already chosen to spoke to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple.
So to go with the lurkers thing, just to make people understand, lurkers are love here on Twitch or any other platform that people decide to invest their time, their patience, and not even talking about monetary help that they might provide for any of us content creators. Lurkers are love, especially on Twitch. So with that being said, I've had times where I'll have 80, 90, 100, 120 people in there, and one person's talking, maybe two people. And some wise Kraken Joe comes on and it says, oh my God, this chat is so dead.
Which is in our
Well, I don't really care. I don't care. Right? Because I know from doing the difference here is that Twitch is awesome, because if someone talks to me, wow, I have one extra thing I can jump off of, because I've been performer for a long time and not on stage. See, that's why I get Das Postman. I get to talk to him about that, like being on stage. I've always been behind some type of production thing or whatever, right? Not in front of a big time crowd. But guess what? You have to provide all the content in all those different forms.
Right. No
one's there giving you extra help. Right. So you have to become comfortable with having 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000 people that are not going to talk to you. They're just not. They want to watch you. It's like TV. They just wanted something to veg out to for a little while. Like, man, okay, my day was long and stressful. This is nice. Okay, you know what? I've watched this for about 2 hours. I want to go to bed now.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
you got to become comfortable with that.
And we touched on that in the etiquette video. So if you guys haven't watched that, you should watch that and understand why saying things like that is incredibly rude. But that's a different topic. So So someone asked, and we will definitely get to questions in a minute, but I do want to address this. Someone
we'll have a Q&A at the end of this.
But I do want to address this. Someone asked, is it only bots that lurkers do not like being called out on? Absolutely not. It's in general. I will give you the perfect example. When I first started streaming and I started researching this debate, I actually knew a streamer that would literally open his viewer list and say, Luxin Phoenix, man, if you're there, I just want to, I really appreciate it. Thank you for lurking. Like, go out of his way to call out lurkers. And if man, I don't know if people still do that. I haven't seen it in years, but good God, if you are that person, please don't be that person.
That would be something that we would suggest as something to improve upon.
Yeah, because that is,
it's in poor taste.
Yeah, that's one of those things that it goes beyond. It goes beyond a what's right, what's wrong, and just simply turns into you, like, for me as a lurker, as a viewer, you've made me incredibly uncomfortable now. Super, like, you got halfway through your hey, thanks for watching directed at me. Probably got halfway through the sentence at max, and I was already gone.
Right.
So definitely do not do that. Cause that's all bad. You don't want to make people
get comfortable with people lurking, and don't point them out. The same difference as, let's say, someone, think about back in elementary school, middle school, high school, and you were sitting alone for lunch. Did you need that one popular person going and saying, hey, look, Luxin's sitting by himself for lunch? You already knew you were sitting by yourself for lunch and just doing your thing, and you were fine with it and getting ready so you can eat and then have enough time to get to class on time, or maybe cram some homework in before class started.
Why are you make me relive that? Why?
Because it happened to both of us. So point being is I needed to pick someone that I knew. And so it's the same type of thing. People are like, well, this is different. It's the internet. First off, your perspective is skewed if you're going to think that people in person and people on the internet, that how you treat them is going to be any different.
Yeah.
You should automatically assume to treat people with the utmost respect no matter what. So when someone's lurking, let them lurk. I tell them, I love you guys. I'm okay with it. You don't ever have to talk, because you could tell I'm going to continue to ramble about Cotton Peter Tail. It's just going to happen.
I think that, speaking of lurkers, one thing that I want to touch on, and this is a larger debate, so I don't want to delve too much into it because I don't want to start something, but I do want to voice an opinion. One thing that I saw the other, well, it's been a couple weeks now. Some of you may or may not know that if you open tabs and you mute within Twitch and go to a different tab, it will pause the stream and you no longer count as a viewer. Now,
therefore, your support has now been minimized or removed.
Right.
Is the best way to look at it.
So one thing that I saw on Twitter that really upset me, and again, this is a big debate, so if you feel this way, you're entitled to your opinion, but some people are saying it needs to be that way. It should be that way, because if you're not actually watching, you're not a viewer. It's just as bad as view botting. It's view bloating. It's really gross, blah, 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 blah.
Same thing.
Talking about skewed opinions and skewed perception, I would say that's very skewed, because support is support.
To me, when people start talking like that, it's more people on a high horse.
Yeah.
For some reason that they feel that they can tell you what is acceptable and what's not acceptable for people wanting to support you. There is no right or wrong in that. Now, let's say it's a bunch of absolutely fake views, right? Let's say someone bought 100,000 view bots and decided to use 100,000 view bots to pump their channel, right? That's a completely different thing, because those don't exist. No one's taken the time out of their day to go ahead and support you. by popping up in your tab and maybe checking back and forth while they're doing the dishes, while they're making dinner for themselves or their family, while they had to go back out in the garage because they forgot there was a project they need to come back, and they come back in like, oh yeah, you're still on. That is all support because they want to be there.
Right.
These are real people designating their resources to help you.
So all I wanted to say on that is consider the circumstances, right? So for me, like I said, I'll easily pop 20 plus tabs, and I'm in every single one. Whether I'm chatting in 2 of the 20 or 3 of the 20 or none of the 20, I'm in all of them. But another example is this, right? Real life happens. It is that simple. Now, let's say General is speedrunning and it's his 24-hour stream because he's celebrating whatever. Like
Whatever.
You just got partners, so you're going to do a 24-hour stream. I want to be there. I want to support you. Unfortunately, in that 24-hour time span, I'm working 2 jobs.
Correct.
Okay? To say to me that I should not lurk for General because I'm not there, that's not fair. I don't count. I'm not actually there. It's not the same. It doesn't matter. It does. All the arguments that you want to give to me do not matter to me. And I'll tell you why. One, in my opinion, if we're talking about opinions, that is really unfortunate that you don't know what that kind of support is like. I'm sorry you feel that way, but in my opinion, you're wrong. That being said, I'm going to support my friends because that's what I like to do. If I wasn't working in that 24-hour span at 2 jobs, I would be there anyway. And what I'm going to do is on my way home from the first job within the first 8 to 12 hours, I'm going to open his stream on my phone, plug it into my car audio, and listen to his stream and support his stream on my way home from work. Now, you guys tell me I'm doing 80 on a bridge on one of the busiest freeways in California. You think it's a good idea if I'm typing in chat on my phone? Probably not, right? So now there's other sides to the argument where some people are like, well, that's not what we're talking about. That's different because you are technically actually there and blah, 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 blah. No, there is no difference, because even if I closed my phone and I didn't listen on the drive home and I had him on my computer at home, but I'm not really home because I was at work, I still want to support, because again, if I wasn't at work, that's where I would be. And even if that wasn't the case, I'm still going to support my friends. Your opinion is very, very negative if you're the kind of person that thinks, well, that's view botting or view bloating. It doesn't count. They don't deserve that. They do deserve that, and that's why I do it. Done.
And you know why? Here's the reason why they deserve it. Okay, if we want to make it really simplistic, maybe look at it from a positive viewpoint. The reason why they deserve it is because they built up that foundation of their community. Their community, on their own want, has decided to dedicate themselves to your cause. If that's watching your live videos, if that's watching your pre-recorded content, if that is interacting with you on social medias, that is their way of supporting you. The fact that you want to now knock down or chop down these people who want to be there but don't want to talk, right? They don't want to talk. They don't care what you say or not. They don't want to talk. That doesn't make them a view bot. A view bot is someone who does not exist. A human being is a human being, and if they're willing to take their time to do that, they're awesome. I have a lot of people who are like that. They are very awesome. Luxin, I'm sure, can say the same thing. Has a lot of people just like that, and they're very awesome. And so when it comes down to if you're talking or not, it's totally fine if you decide not to talk. If you have 1,000 things to do and you need to listen to your professor's video, but you still want to keep the live stream open, you go ahead and leave the audio on, but you right click the tab, and really simply, if you're using Chrome, it's going to be the 5th thing down that says mute tab. So you will still be able to help out your content creators, but at the same time, you are still doing what you need to do to balance out both helping them and helping yourself.
Sure. Perfect example, and she's probably gonna hit me in Discord right now and be super mad at me for calling her out. But I don't care. Perfect example. I have a viewer. Her name is Yvonne. She is beyond birthday. She has spoken in this chat once thus far. She's probably still here listening to me, which is probably why I'm about to get a Discord message or some kind of emote. Yvonne is like pro lurker. Like I say I'm pro lurker, but I also really enjoy talking to my friends, so I'll come out of lurk frequently just to say, hey, what's up? I'm here. I'm lurking. Blah, 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 blah. There she is. Yvonne is almost always listening, but pretty much always never speaking, ever. When I used to stream with Bob Dogs and Crunchy Egg Rolls, or when they would stream together like all the time, she was in the Discord listening. And we knew she was there, and she was muted, and she didn't talk, but she was listening. For me personally, I know this kind of chalks up to opinion. For me, that's one of the best kinds of viewers. You don't have to talk to me to let me know that you're supporting. And you want to talk about something that feels really good? It's someone that's willing to not only have your stream open, but like, for instance, if I have 20 streams open, most of them are probably muted. If someone is in the Discord with you listening, that they are listening. They enjoy you enough to be there and do whatever else it is they are doing, but still being with you for you. That is a very, very feel-good moment, in my opinion. And that's why I don't mind if you are not speaking in chat, but I know you're there because you are that kind of supporter. I'm good.
Okay. For one more topic before we go ahead and go into Q&A at this point.
Hit me.
Social media use. It's very important if you're going to try to be a full-time streamer. Now, if your plan is to only do this part-time or only as a hobby, well, then you don't probably have these expectations of traction you expect to see after the 1 year mark, the 2 year mark, the 3 year mark as your business continues to grow. So that's not going to matter as much. But people want to see you also outside of your element. They consider your element to be this platform that is Twitch they found you on. They want to see how you are in Discord, how you are in Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, right? Who are you? Are you the same person? Are you a different person? So now when it comes to social media, the worst thing you can do is, and I've learned this, right? As time's gone on, I've learned these things. I wasn't perfect, I promise you. If you're willing to go through all my like tens of thousands of tweets by now, you can look back and see where I started to where I am now. When you're tagging things, tag one, maybe two things, and one hashtag. Reason being is what happens is the reason why we use hashtags. Hashtags categorizes you so other people can find that content. Problem is when you use multiple hashtags, especially hashtags that are owned, people don't know this. Support small streamers is an owned hashtag that is supporting someone who's making a lot of money at the top, and everybody else thinks they're getting exposure by using it. Just understand these types of things too. There's other Twitch teams, right? And there's a multitude of teams out there, but there are certain ones that don't care about your growth as much as they'll say they care about your growth, because you can tell. I've been a part of many different ones. And there's nothing wrong with teams, right? But there's a problem with bad teams and tagging those things because it isn't real interaction. It's forced interaction. Like, let's say one of my friends goes and tags 12 people in it, and I'm one of those 12 people. I'm not retweeting that. I might like it because I want to support them and I might get them a little more exposure, but I'm not retweeting that. So when you guys look at my tweets nowadays, you'll see me, I'm going live, what game I'm playing, where you can find me at, and maybe I'll tag something as a community that I support, like the 8-Bit Dojo, or I might use a hashtag like speedrunning. So people who are looking for speedrunning might find me. I keep it concise, just enough information that is me, just enough information that allows them to find me, and keep it simple. You want people to look at your information and read it real quickly and either make an action or move on. You don't want them to have a negative effect when they read that. If they go and see it and be like, you've got 12 different things you've tagged, I don't even care. Got to be careful with that stuff. So say that you're a support small streamer, but don't hashtag support small streamers. So, you're going to hurt yourself more than you're going to help yourself.
I agree.
I'm sorry, but that's how it is nowadays. It's just it's the lay of the land.
So, something that was said was, it's also labeling you as a small streamer. Is that something you want people to think of you as? I read something the other day that really changed my perspective on that. So I can see where that statement comes from. And that's kind of where my perception changed. I never thought it mattered, until I started thinking about, someone said, well, you label yourself in a negative light when you label yourself as a small streamer. And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. I could see why people would think that. But I read something the other day that kind of blew my mind. I loved the way it was worded. It's on Twitter. I'm gonna paraphrase because it was a lot, and I don't remember the whole thing.
I'll keep you in line.
But someone said something along the lines of, I don't care if I label myself as a smaller streamer because it's important to recognize your goals and your adventure getting there, right? It is okay to label yourself as a small streamer if you recognize I will not always be here. If you just started streaming, you're not a big streamer.
Correct.
If you say that, that's okay because you're not. Saying that will not keep you from getting to that point so long as you recognize that. Now, I'm still not a huge fan of the hashtag. That's a different story. But if you are a small streamer right now, but you can acknowledge, like, I'm on the smaller side, and that's okay because 1 month from now I plan to be here, here, and here, and I plan to do this, this, and this. That's good. Yeah, growing versus small is, I mean, but you can be a small streamer and still be a growing streamer. You don't, I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to, oh, well, I can't be a growing streamer because I said I'm a small streamer. That's not true.
No,
that's not true. You just started streaming.
That's using correlation as causation. That's not
right. You just started streaming. You have 5 follows. You're a small streamer. Does that mean you're not going to grow? Absolutely not. So you are thus a small streamer and a growing streamer. Do you see what I'm saying? It's okay.
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's okay to say if that's how you feel. I'm on the smaller spectrum, and you call yourself a small streamer, but you know you're growing. That's fine. That's in my opinion. I don't think what matters is not where you're at, but where you're going.
What to go with yours and to actually take it from just opinion base and to factual base is I'm talking about actual traction and how people see you. Your presence, be it on social media or whatever you use, has an effect. So now, let's say in my info, I put I'm a small streamer. No hashtag. Totally fine. I'm accepting of who I am and where I'm hoping someday to maybe go to. Yeah. Right? Because I wouldn't even need, if I didn't feel that I was starting out small and working towards something, I wouldn't even necessarily need to say that. I might want to, but I don't need to. Okay, so let's take that back a step here. And then now we're talking about the hashtag. Hashtags on social media are used to categorize things. So let's say I'm on Instagram, as an example, and I hashtag fitness. You know I'm mostly going to see? Fitness pictures. Let's say I hashtag makeup. You know I'm mostly going to see? Makeup pictures. So when we're using hashtags, our thought process is that we're creating more exposure than just the following base we already have. Our followers are already following you, right? So they don't need the hashtags to find you again. Hashtags are to help you get more exposure outside of your network already if others aren't liking or retweeting your stuff or commenting or anything that creates more viral interaction. So when we're using hashtags, make sure you know what the hashtag stands for. So I've been intentionally doing this. You'll see me hashtag Dreamers. Dreamers was a specific movement, right? That had to do with immigration and all these other things where people were getting displaced and all this other stuff, that there was a specific thing. And then I've had people come on with hate speech on mine thinking they knew what I was talking about. They're like, oh man, I can't believe you support these immigrants and da 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 da. Sir, you obviously just wanted to rant because you didn't pay attention to anything else. Dreamers are my community and have nothing to do with that. And I'm relabeling, I'm taking that hashtag back. That hashtag is going to be our community and not what everyone else is so about, right? But now with something like support small streamers, right? The problem is that's actually owned. There is a person or persons, I don't know them specifically enough to state who they are. They're making money off of that, right? Their hashtag links to all the different things. And as people are using that hashtag, it becomes muddled. It's thrown everywhere. It's used all over the place. And instead of it being a benefactor that you're using support small streamers and people go to that, people don't actively choose to look for that hashtag anymore. It's not a positive hashtag like it used to be. Let's say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there was a positive connotation when you use that hashtag. Now when you use it, it's a negative connotation. And even if your opinion says, oh, I don't view it that way, that's not fact. You have to look at data. And when you look at the data when growing your business, beginner, intermediate, advanced, you cannot go and say, well, I disagree with this data. Okay, well, now go and take that. You have a disagreement. Go and do further and further research and test and test and test and see, does your information after months and months and months of trial and error, does it match with what you thought where, hey, I disagree with this data, or did it actually match what the data was already saying? And if it does, and you don't want to sink your business, pay attention to that. It's okay you should always try to buck the trend and see, hey, is this actually fact? That's okay. But when it is fact, you can't go and continue to convince yourself it's not. Otherwise, you're going to hurt what you've been working so hard for.